Oh, welcome back. Here's some breaking news this hour. The Republican National Committee has announced that billionaire Las Vegas mogul Steve Wynn has resigned as finance chairman of the RNC. That announcement coming after dozens of women accused the 73-year-old of personal misconduct. Wynn is strongly denying those claims. His company, Wynn Resorts, says it's deeply committed to ensuring the safety and well-being of all the company's employees. Joining me now, Rob Henneke. He's a GOP strategist and director of the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Taryn Rosencrantz is a Democratic strategist and former managing director of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Virginia Heffernan, op-ed columnist for the Los Angeles Times and the host of Slate's Trumpcast, is with me as well. Rob, I want to turn to you. It took about 24 hours here for this to happen, for Steve Wynn to resign from his position with the RNC. How long did those 24 hours feel to you down in Austin?
Well, David, thank you for having me on the program. It was a big story yesterday with the Wall Street Journal, but I do give credit for the RNC. The right thing has happened. Mr. Wynn resigned, and really in a 24-hour period where I'm sure there was a lot to process on their end. But the right thing has happened, and now the RNC can pivot back to its focus, which is supporting the agenda of this president and highlighting the great things that are going on in this administration.
Rob, did we get enough information here? This is a brief statement from the RNC about the resignation of Steve Wynn. In light of what was reported, again, more than 150 people talking to the Wall Street Journal about all of these transgressions, about the sexual misconduct here alleged against Steve Wynn. Has the RNC said enough? You said they've said the right things. Have they said all of them?
Well, I think you have to appreciate the speed with which this has happened. Obviously, this was a big situation for them to handle. And here, we need to give credit for that. In less than 24 hours, Mr. Wynn resigned, and the RNC is able to move forward. There may be more, but now the RNC can get back to its focus in a very short period of time. And I think that goes along with the short statement that just put the period on this situation.
Taryn Rosencrantz, here's the statement up there. Today I accepted Steve Wynn's resignation as Republican National Committee Finance Chair. That from Ronna Romney McDaniel of the RNC. I got to say to all three of you, on a day-to-day basis, my email box is flooded with rapid response messages from both the RNC and the DNC. Taryn, I want to turn to you. Rob, they're talking about all of this transpiring in a 24-hour period. That seems slow relative to what we usually get from these two parties.
Oh, absolutely. They certainly were late to the game and really still kind of holding back. I'm sure you're going to hear the fallout continue when people start to ask about returning money. I mean, this is the problem. They're very beholden to Mr. Wynn for the millions of dollars that he's put into all of these races. And I think they're going to have a really tough time having a conversation with voters as we come into the next election, when time and time again they sort of remain silent, or they go in and they put that money in the Roy Moore election. They stand complicit in the allegations against, Donald Trump, the president. I mean, it's just their leadership is continuing to kind of be in this position where they just aren't saying much and they're not taking swift action. And they're trying to do that when it's on the Democratic side. And so it's not ringing true to anyone. And I think it's going to be hard for the American people to kind of continue to stand by and believe that they're really a family values party, right? When this is how they're responding and they're trying to hide from it and stick their head in the sand.
Virginia, the word that Taryn used there is beholden. Just want to look at all of the people that Steve Wynn has donated to. I say all of the people. This is a representation of some of the many people he's supported in the past, from Senator Ted Cruz to Senator Marco Rubio, Tim Scott of South Carolina, Hillary Clinton there as well, Ryan Zinke, who's now a cabinet member in the Trump administration. Beholden, let's expand upon that a little bit here. The role that someone like Steve Wynn plays in a political party, be that Republican or Democrat.
Well, I've said this before. I think beholden is a hard word to incorporate into this. There are a lot of candidates who get so-called dark money from donors that they don't know, that they can't go in and do a moral audit on everyone who's part of donations to them. And thinking of some of these big candidates, Cruz returning the money is one thing. Thinking of smaller candidates who don't know where the money's coming from and who have spent the money having to return it is, I think, the wrong thing here. We need more comprehensive campaign finance reform and less partisan conversation about who is such an ogre that they should have their money returned and who's okay and his money is okay. There are no honest American fortunes. There are not a lot of billionaires that don't have a lot of skeletons in their closet, which we've been learning over and over and over again this year. And Steve Wynn is certainly one of them.
Rob Henneke, Republicans are going to gather in just a few days for a retreat to talk about the midterms in 2018. Perhaps there will be some introspection, some soul searching in light of all of this. What would your message be to the Republican Party at this point about having so many chips invested in somebody like Steve Wynn and where the party goes from here?
Well, David, it's no surprise to me that Democrat strategists and advisors to Democrat candidates like Taryn are going to continue to try to make this an issue and to distract focus from what's going on and the great things that this administration is doing. You have swift action by the RNC. You have the resignation of Mr. Wynn. You have that being accepted by the RNC. And so when the Republicans gather here in the near future, they're going to be able to focus on the tax cuts, on the job creation, on the stock market that's booming, on the great things in our economy that's happening right now. That's building prosperity for the American people.
Rob, I just want to pull that apart there a little bit. When the allegations came out against Harvey Weinstein, this was something I heard from a lot of Republican strategists and from fundraisers as well. That clarion call lasted an awful long time. It didn't end in 24 hours.
Well, and there wasn't the swift action either that you saw here. Even on a weekend, less than 24 hours after the situation arose, the RNC has addressed it. They've addressed it in a way with Mr. Wynn's resignation that allows them to get back to their focus of what the core mission is for the RNC, and that's to support the agenda of this president and the great things that this administration is doing.
Okay, we're going to leave it right there. Rob Henneke, thank you very much for the time. Taryn Rosenkrantz, thanks to you, and Virginia Heffernan, thanks to you as well. Well, a year in the life, a closer look here at the record-setting staff departures from within the White House and how President Trump's inner circle has changed in the last 12 months since he took office on the heels of the first State of the Union address.